Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tess and here I mostly talk about cross stitch. I am in a slightly different location today. Lockdown, timing, it's a thing. Apologies if you hear my bird, she can be quite loud. I will try and cut as much of it as possible. And apologies for being late. Today is 13th of September. I was supposed to do my update last Sunday, but I wasn't coping so well with lockdown and it was Father's Day, so that didn't happen. And yesterday I was going to film, but I ended up pushing for a finish instead because I didn't want to show you something that was just so close. So you've got me Monday lunchtime and hopefully it still works out. Let's get into it. I do have to get back to work eventually and I think I'm going to lose patience with Cleo, so we'll see how we go. In the month of August, I stitched 9,429 stitches, so not my biggest stitch count, but it is what it is. And so let's get into the whips. As always, we'll start with Haystack Sunset by Jeff Pritchard, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I've broken this into a quadriptych. I finished the first two parts and I'm working on the third. In August, I only put in 1,332 stitches. It hasn't really been a focus. At first, I was a little burnt out. Now I just think I want to put some focus on other things, get them off my whip list, and I'll get back to this eventually. Still stitching on it daily. Here is a photo of what it will look like when it's finished and where it was last time. And this is where it is now. So as you can see, I really haven't done a lot. Note this side. I finished up this little section. That's as far down as it goes, and I'm just working my way across. As I said, it really hasn't gotten a lot of love, but I'm not upset because I've made some pretty good progress on other things. But here is a comparison photo. Next up on my whips is Storytime, artwork by Aruda Art, charted by Gecko Rouge. In August, I put in 3,664 stitches. I'm not going to show you that now because she's actually a finish, so I will share her as part of my finishes. And then similarly, next up was PhD in Cross Stitch by Emma Condon. I don't know if it was my colour conversion or if I just fell out of love with this chart, but as I'll discuss a little bit later, I did a massive cut back of all my whips. This one unfortunately did not make the cut this time round, so I did put in 1,130 stitches. I thought I kept it to show you. It was a restart, but it turns out I didn't. I completely got rid of it in part of my organising, cleaning, isolation nonsense. So yeah, that's now a UFO. I may start it again in the future, but I don't have plans to as of yet. Then last up for my whips is Dogwood Mini by Cindy Christensen, again Heaven and Earth Designs. I use this for my Stitch With Me, so if you've watched that, you've already seen this progress, but I did put in 420 stitches. So here is a photo of what it will look like when it's done and where it was last time. So this is where it is now. Absolutely loving it. I am almost officially a convert to Hannah's method of stitching. This was really easy because it's only a couple of colours. Yeah, actually really, I need a smaller board. I've been told of where a smaller one is, but with lockdown I have not been able to purchase it as of yet. So this is it closer. I'm absolutely in love. You might be able to see a little bit. I have removed the gridding. I found after working on pre-gridded fabric that the fishing line I have is slightly too thick, and on the corners especially, it was just making my stitching not quite as neat as I would like, and doing Hannah's method, the most I would need to count is 20, so I decided to pull the gridding and just not worry about it. I don't think I've got too many projects left that will need it. As you'll see in a minute, I'm about to transfer most things that I start onto 28 count easy guide. I've got the last part of Haystack obviously, but I have managed to find a slightly thinner fishing line, so I'm planning on gridding the last part with that and maybe even re-gridding part 3 and see how that goes. But yeah, as I said, gridding's not really going to be an issue going forward. Accidentally skipped a whip, not that it matters to you, they're just in order of when I worked on them. Anyway, my last whip is Pro Body's Nerfict. It is a pick-to-pat chart that I did myself. In August, I put in 2,250 stitches. Here is a photo of what it will look like when it's finished and where it was last time. Now I have slightly adjusted the alignment. It didn't look as well as I'd liked on the mock-up. I'm going to try without the board because it's just painful, but this is where it is now. So I've made pretty good progress, I think. I haven't actually looked at where I started in August, but 2,000 stitches is pretty decent. It's slightly frustrating to work on. This was one of my oldest whips, so I didn't like the coverage of 2/1 on 18 count. I didn't realize it sort of puffed up in washing, and I mean black is pretty notorious for being horrible. So it is being done 3/1, so it's kind of bulky to stitch, but at the same time it's not full coverage, so I might have been a bit upset if I did continue 2/1 or restart at 2/1. So I'm just going to push through. Slight, I guess, spoiler alert for plans. I want this to be my focus next until it's finished. Yeah, there's a few parts of the chart that I'm not loving. I didn't do a lot of cleanup because I didn't know anything about it, but I will see how it looks when I take a step away once it's done and make any adjustments then. And here is a comparison photo. So that's all my whips. Let's get into my finishes. Yes, I did have multiple. Part of my let's get everything organized. So I will show you those now. They're super tiny, so don't be too impressed. It was Simple Daisy by Michael Powell. To finish this, I had to put in 304 stitches. I'm not going to bother showing you a photo of what it's going to look like because you're going to see the finish, but here is a photo of what it was last time you saw it. And this is where it is now. that may not be the right way up. I probably should have checked. I'm pretty sure it goes this way, but I could be wrong. Cute little finish. It's from his 20 small cross stitch projects. I can't remember the name of it. I'll put a photo here. I should be able to fit of what the book is. Yeah, so that was nice to, you know, take off my WIP list. It only took me a day to finish. Should have done it sooner. Anyway, that was a WIP from, I started that on the 19th of the 5th, 2018, and I finished it 10th of the 8th, 21. So it was a WIP for a really long time, considering how small it is. Next up, also by Michael Powell, is Hanging Baubles. I put in 329 stitches to finish this. This is in his Christmas Smalls book. Again, I'll put a photo and a photo of where it was last time you saw it. And then this is where it is now. Or this is finished. This was cut slightly more irritating than Simple Daisy. There were sections of the back stitching that needed to pierce the fabric. This is a really stiff Aida, so it was unpleasant. Luckily I had some gold petite treasure braid for something else, because I didn't pay attention that I needed it for this. But yeah, it's done. Another little finish. I have no idea what I'm going to do with these, but that was started on the 28th of the 5th, 2018, and finished it on the 18th of the 8th, 21. Again, was done in a day. Now my big one. This is the reason I didn't come to you yesterday. Story Time by Aruda Art, Gecko Rouge Kit. I finished this last night in the month of September, because obviously I told you what I stitched in August, but in the 12 days of September I put in 7,463 stitches to finish it. Here's a photo of what it looked like last time you saw it. And here is the finish. I am so happy with it. I've already washed and ironed it because I'm just that much in love. Thank you, Kelly, from Animal Instinct. It was her fault that I bought this. I'm so in love, and it's smaller, like in my mind. I'm not great converting measurements to actuality, so it's smaller than I expected, but it should fit into a standard size frame. So once we are out of lockdown and things are a little bit safer, I'm going to take it into the shops to find something, and then I will fully finish it. But she's just so pretty. Thank you again, Kelly. I held off for a really long time. I'm not the biggest fan of kits. I have a pretty specific way of stitching and organizing my stitching supplies, and the money spent on a kit is a lot. Unfortunately, Kimberly at Gecko Rouge only offers kits, so I'm extremely thankful I ended up getting this. And if you've watched me for a while, you know I do have another piece from Gecko Rouge, again by Aruda Art. Seems I really love his art style. But it's a kit that doesn't give you DMC numbers, and there's a lot of extra floss. like, I'm sorry if you can hear the garbage outside. I forgot that was Mondays. I understand giving extra floss to make sure you don't run out, but this is a lot. There's a couple of colours that came closer than others, but I think I could almost stitch her again with the leftovers. I'm unsure of what I want to do. I do have the full DMC set, but I do not have the time to match all of these to DMC to add them to my master set. I don't know if I want to keep it in case I ever do feel like stitching it. I don't know, it just seems so wasteful, and I don't know what to do with this now. I don't do a lot of projects that I can just pull random floss to use. Yeah, I don't know, it's a lot. Obviously I haven't had a lot of time to think on that because it was just finished last night. It's been in the back of my mind, especially finishing a lot of colours and having so much floss left, but I'm not sure. Anyway, let's move on. As I sort of hinted to earlier, lockdown has affected me kind of badly. I've spent a lot of it organising rather than stitching. Not only because it, makes me feel like I'm kind of in control, but because I've got the opportunity to be at home to do these sort of things, whereas normally I don't spend a lot of time at home. So it's a bit of twofold reason as to why. It sort of was kicked off when I finished the 2 Michael Pals. I had a lot of whips. Like, I think I was close to... So it's close to 70 whips, I think, which the number itself didn't bother me. But as I was going through them, there were a lot I had because I didn't dislike them enough to get rid of them, but I didn't want to necessarily stitch on them. And this kind of started being a thing when I was looking at my plans for next year. I was giving, low priority. And I realised that unless I want to work on them, I'm not going to have them as a whip. I'm not saying in the future that I'm not going to start them up again, but for now, rather than having 70 whips there, some that I would be a chore to stitch on, I did a massive clear out. So I got rid of, I think, 20 whips. I've obviously got a list. I've got Excel spreadsheets. Didn't think to bring it down because it's on a different computer. Didn't think to bring it down today. I don't think you really care which whips I got rid of. I may or may not call out in my whip parade at the beginning of next year. I probably will because I'm showing the sort of totality of my stitching, so they will likely come out then. But yeah, it was a massive relief. There are some that I got rid of and I was like, maybe in the future I will start them again. There's some that I got rid of, not necessarily because I didn't like the whip, but because I wasn't in love with the fabric. There's also a few Hayds that I still love, but am considering repurchasing a smaller size. At one stage, I think I had like 10 supersize max colors, and that's just, while I'm not necessarily stitching to have finishes, that's never been my thing. I'm trying to be a little bit more realistic with my stitching time, and if I really want it that big, because even if I do finish it, I've got to be mindful of what will fit on a wall. So that took up quite a bit of my time, but I feel so much better for it. And there's a few, what's the word? I want to keep my whips down. as I'm sort of focusing on ones to finish, but I also kind of want to start all the things, so we'll see. I'll just be maybe more mindful about what I start. Anyway, I will share all of my organising as I'm finished it. It's still a work in progress. There's not necessarily, it's not financial restraint. There are things stopping me, not just time, because you know, things take time, but it's also not being allowed out of the house to finalise some of the things that I want to do. Anyway, moving on. I've spoken about this magazine before, Down the Rabbit Hole. It's an Australian cross-stitch magazine. Absolutely love it. It's really good, and I suggest you look into it, buy it. It's really affordable. I bring it up again this time because I was actually featured as the Flosstuber of the magazine, which was really, I was shocked to be asked. So thank you again, Nicole. And here is the photo of the front cover. It is a digital subscription and it is gorgeous. There are a couple of whips that I want to get started from this, but again, my whole not really starting things at the moment, but I will link that website down below. Next up, I do have a little bit of haul. I spoke about this, I think, stitching at work. I can't take my Lowry in as much as I would like to, and the Q-snaps getting kind of heavy for my wrist, so I bought a 6x6. It is super tiny. Haven't had a chance to test it out at work because it came in after lockdown, but I have had a little play and I think it fits enough that it's not going to be an issue at work. I'm not stitching on things that are cross country, so I don't need a lot of like real estate, and this fits Hannah's method. I haven't tried it on the 18 count, but again, probably not going to take Dogwood in. But yeah, it's so tiny and I love it so much. So that came in. I ordered it from 123 Stitch, and as always, really, really quick. While I was ordering that, I'll take this out the plastic so it's not glary. Apologies if it's annoying. I bought Giving Thanks by Little House Needleworks. I've wanted this for a while, since I saw it, I think at a cross stitch catch up, but every time I placed a 123 order it was out of stock, but luckily this time it was not. So I absolutely love that. No idea when I'm going to start it. I don't have fabric for it yet, but I'm glad to finally have that in my stash. And then next up, this is kind of why I put in the 123 stitch order. I was watching Emily Snark and Spark. I will link her below, and she showed a design that I didn't know was a thing. So this is a magnet that I've had for a while. All you need is love and a good cup of coffee. As I said, I've had this for a while, absolutely love it, sentiment's perfect, and I've always thought that it would be really great to cross stitch it. And guess what she showed? There is a cross stitch kit, and I will, sorry, didn't want to take it out because it's not. A little bit. Yeah, all you need is love and a good cup of coffee. It's the magnet and it's perfect. We are going to do a stitch along. I haven't yet got a start date or a hashtag or anything like that, but I am super excited. This was a kit, so it came with the Ada, floss, and a needle. I think it's called All You Need Is Love. While I do love the chalkboard effect of all white, and you know, obviously stitching monochrome is easy, I'm not sure if maybe I want to try and convert it to this, or if I do both, like stitch it as is and then later convert it. I don't have a very good track record of converting things because I don't do it all at once and then I don't like, it's a thing. So yeah, I'm a little unsure if I'm going to convert it to these colors or keep it just black and white, but I will make that decision before the sale starts. And if I get details, I will link them below. I won't be able to add it to the video because editing, but I will put it in the description box, I guess, if I know. Anyway, moving on, because this has been a really long video, I'm sorry. Another really super exciting piece of haul, and why I'm going to eventually do a lot more on 28 count. Sorry for the crinkling, not as much space down here. I bought a bolt. So I haven't opened it, as you can see. I don't know exactly how wide it is, but it is 5 meters of 28 count easy guide. So I'll be set for a while. I don't think it will do all of my wanted whips, which is really, really sad to admit. But it's going to do a fair chunk of them, and I'm super, super excited to cut it and use it, and so much fabric. So that was really exciting. I got that from JK's Cross Stitch. And then with that, I got a free needle minder. Let's stick to that. Is it going to focus? Cover me. Doesn't look like it. It says handmade with love, and it's a really, really cute needle minder. So there's that. Next up and finally is the little bit of organizing that I have managed to do. I've spoken about Annie's Keepers a lot on this channel, absolutely love them, and was finally able to get these storage slides, and she's getting irritated with me. Anyway, feelings mutual. Have managed to get the storage slides and a way to hold them. So I will try and show you. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but we'll see what we can do. So this is how it is. I got this file holder, I guess it's called, from Amazon. I was nervous for a while because I've heard a lot of people say that the storage slides don't suit the standard Australian file, which is also why I bought this from Amazon. It had 2 sizes, so it had a little extension bit, so I thought I would, be able to get it, which I am. Sorry, I'll just get it out of the way and show you one or 2. So I'm not happy is not the right word. I don't like a full skein on the Annie's Keepers with how short I make them. It's just a bit bulky, but I'm not going to just completely get rid of my whole set, so I'll replace them slowly. But you can see they fit 15 on it. I have handwritten it. Don't love my handwriting, but I wasn't sure how best to stickerize it, especially on the actual Annie's. So I've got on the front and then on the top, so I can just look at the file and be able to pull out the right slide. Absolutely in love. And again, I've got a spreadsheet which lists all of the floss, my duplicates. Didn't bring that, I'll go grab that. But I'll grab one that's at the right size and you can sort of see what I mean. So you can see just the one here. It does end up being a little bit longer. It's still like it just touches the surface when it's sitting in a file, so I don't mind too much. But I don't know if you can tell, it just looks so much neater, at least in my opinion. So that's 4 meters. I will kind of share how I wrap and whatnot when I've got the system set up. There's just so much waiting. Anyway, and I do pre-cut that. So DMC, it's wrapped to the right size and then cut at the end so I can still pull just one at a time. But you can see here with my silks, they're still looped. Sorry, because not all of them, but some are variegated. So I will be sort of unraveling it and then having the spare looped through as you normally do, just to kind of, it'll be easier with variegation. And you can see I label silks for you. I do not label the front because I'm not sure how long it's going to be there, how consistent. A lot of these are from the subscription club, which I'm not part of anymore, but I don't need that listed there, so I don't. And just to sort of give you some, I guess, example of what I do with the extra, I think I've shown these before, little twists with, I'm going to show, with what it is at the written on a tag. They're slightly smaller because there's half the amount, and I've got that down to a really good like process. Well, I think it's really good, which I will share when one other thing is ready, just for ease of I'll show you. I bought a can't remember the name of it. It's a spinner, a Chiago Goo spinner. Now I know this is for yarn, for knitting and crocheting. I was hoping it would work for my cross stitch. It doesn't. I've got the dowels in as close as they'll go. I've got little bands here marking where I think they need to go to fit a DMC skein. I do have someone lined up who is very clever with woodworking to put in more holes for me that will work. I am not handy. I haven't done woodworking since like grade 8. If it was a cheap piece of wood, sure, I'd give it a go. This was $80, so I'm not at that stage where I'm ready to risk it. So I am, yeah, when lockdown's done, I'll get this to the person who is going to help me. They will drill holes and it will be perfect because I'm having a lot of issues with tangling, which is why I haven't sort of recorded my methods yet. And then I also want to get to a hardware store and buy a longer dowel this length so I can put, I've got a couple of cones, so I'll put the cone in the middle to spin that and bobinate. Twist is probably the best way. So yeah, when I get this functional, I will be doing sort of an organize with me. As a Flosstube extra, I've got a lot of floss to spin, so that is hopefully coming within the next couple of months. It's not permanently attached, which is great. It means I can, like, it all comes apart, so I can store it really easily when it's not in use, which is amazing. Yeah, our Premier, I think he is, I don't know titles. The guy in charge of lockdown is hoping to make announcement tomorrow, so we'll see what happens with that. Thank you for sticking with me. I have one last thing to share. Still No, 2, because they're my plans. Anyway, one last organising thing. I've seen them around. Of course, I wasn't able to find photos to be able to show examples, but little floss cards which show the floss stitched. Because obviously, floss toss, it's great when you're doing colour converting or trying to decide if it works on a piece of fabric, but what it looks like on the skein isn't necessarily what it looks like stitched. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Finally bit the bullet again, purchased something that I thought would work, and thankfully it has. So these are coin, I guess, display pocket things. They're not in a folder at the moment because lockdown. I could probably click and collect a folder, but I'm not sure it's worth the risk because it's not like this is going to be finalized anytime soon. So I have done a couple. I started with number 1. Of course, it's like a really light grey, so you can't see it. And then I did 550. I wanted to make sure it would work, and 550 is my favorite color, so of course that's what I was going to go with. So I'm not sure if you can see. Again, it's having issues focusing. I've got block stitching at the top and sort of feather it out, and then I've made up my own little back stitch thing. On this side is 2 strands, on this side is 1, and then I've just got a free alphabet to write the number in, and then I've just sort of whip stitched a piece of felt to the back. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this so I'm not overwhelmed, bored. It doesn't just sit as a half-finished project forever. Because of my OCD and wanting everything to be the same, fabric can differ slightly. I am putting this on hold temporarily and will be buying enough Aida and felt to do the entire DMC collection. I'm not going to do it for specialty floss at this stage. I don't use it enough. I buy it specifically for projects. I don't see me ever subbing out enough to make it worthwhile because it will be likely, you know, floss of the month. So yeah, that is all the organising I've gotten done. Next up, plans. I haven't written them down because I am quite ridiculous and not as organised as I would like. I want to finish Po Bodies and Affect. That is going to be a pretty big focus. One of my restarts that I was talking about with Hayde, I switched from the normal size to a mini. That is tea and books. So here is a photo of what it will look like when it's done. Now, my plan, probably ridiculous and shouldn't do it. I want to make the tea and the books full cross 1/1 on 28 count, and I would like to do the background 2/1 tent. I know a lot of people are just stitching the books and doing on a dyed piece of fabric. I really like the background and don't want to lose that. So I've started in the middle. I've got a sort of system in place where I've got one of the patterns I'm just working off on Pattern Keeper. The other one I'm sort of completing it so I can see the colours and the stitching a little more easily. I'm going to give it probably a week where I work on it 30 minutes a day to see if I like it. If not, I will just restart it and do probably full crosses. I don't know, but I'm going to give it a week and see if I like it. So you will see that next update. I hope it works. I really, really would like it to work. But we will see. And then my next, I guess, or the And then I think the last plan, at least stitching wise, is I want to start By the Stream Glacier by Jeff Pritchard. Surprise, surprise, I have cut it into a triptych, and I will put in a photo here of how I've cut it. After working on Haystack, I didn't like finishing one and then having to start it again, like with a blank. So I was originally going to do one colour across the whole piece. However, since working on tea and books and story time, I don't like finishing a thread on 28 count when it's 1/1. It's really hard to get behind the stitches, so I think I am going to do it piece by piece, but it won't be colour completion, it will be Hannah's method. So you will find a lot of Hannah's method in my stitching. But yes, I think that is everything. Thank you if you have made it to the end. I will be a lot more prompt next month, I promise. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. If I have, it is what it is. If you've got any questions for me, leave them in the comments below, because I have no idea what I'm going to talk about with my Stitch With Me. I'm pretty sure that's next weekend. But yeah, stay safe and happy stitching. Bye guys.